All right, guys, let's talk about these bathing suits. So at this stage, don't watch this video until you've tried this yourself. I want you to give it a try because truly you will learn best if you try to do it yourself and then decide what questions you have and then come to this video and we'll talk it through. So let's just look at the construction of this thing. We've got a twist going across the top. There's a seam on both sides. There it is, that goes into the twist. It's actually pretty cool. Last time I did this with some students, we mocked up the pattern really quickly so that they could understand how this was actually made. This is a stitch right here. It looks quite dark. It looks like it's a seam line, but it's not. It's just a stitch right there. And then over on the side, we've got all this ruching that goes into this side seam. Now on the back of this garment, we're going to draw it tied in a knot, okay? If we were doing a tech pack, we would want multiple drawings, okay? We might want it tied, we might want it untied and open flat. So that's really up to the company to decide what they need to do for that. But we'll go ahead and just do one with it flat. But what we are going to do is a call out showing this little lacy detail right here. On the back side, we've got the self fabric folded over. It's got an overstitch, and then there is, an overlock, and then there's a chain stitch on the back. That chain stitch is the back side of that stitch. There are little loops for straps. I have no idea where the strap went. It's long gone, so we will just skip the strap. Okay. All right, let's give this a try. The main thing that people usually have questions about here is how to draw that, the gathering, sort of shearing right here, and the asymmetrical sort of swoop on the front. So let me see if I can get myself a croquis. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, you guys will need to get a hold of this guy. He's in your croquis module. And these ladies, they are also in your croquis module. They're the 4th page of the newest document I uploaded. We need those later this week. Okay, let me see here. I'm going to reuse my tracing paper from earlier. I'll place the fold right down her center line, and I'm going to go ahead and figure out about how this is going to fit her body. Let me make sure I'm zoomed in really well here so you can see it. Okay, so we're going to go over her bust and sort of dip down, kind of a sweetheart shape in the center, and the bottom will come up, okay? We'll connect right across her side. We can now fold it and reflect it. Okay, next thing I want to do is put in those side seams because we definitely are going to want to make sure those are there before we do anything else. And now we're going to draw that, what do we even want to call this? I had a good word earlier and it's escaping me at the end of this long day. Okay, so let's follow it. I'm going to go from here across and then down. So I'll make some sort of a swoopy shape from here across and then down, okay? And I'll do kind of the mirror of it from the other side. I'll go from here across and then up, something like that. Okay, that's gonna get us pretty far along. Let me zoom in really, really close to make sure everybody can see this. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in some more of the details that I know are there. You'll see in the photos, and I just held it up and you guys probably saw there's the seam right there, okay? So that little seam is going top and bottom all the way along, and I can put in some stitches right now because I know that those stitches are going right along there. They stop at the side seam, okay? A lot of times our stitches do not stop at the side seam, but in this case they do. And then we've got a line, we've got a seam line right here and right there. Okay, now is the fun part. Now I can put in some more of these sort of shearing details. I can come in and I can put a few pretty little drape lines going this way and that way, and some of them here. And then, you know what, actually I don't like the way I drew this. Let me take that out. Let me take that out. Instead, what's going to look better there is if I envision that there's sort of a, this goes like this, the other one is like a mirror image of it, if that makes sense. So I'm going to actually let some of these come from inside out. like that, okay? And they can look kind of like they're aiming out towards the edges trying to connect. Okay, I think that might be everything I need on the front view. Let me fold it and reflect it. As always with the back view, we're going to start by tracing the front view. And we're just going to get that silhouette, and then we'll go ahead and we'll change out the details to make it into the back view. Okay, so what do we need to do here? I'm going to go ahead and draw the back strap as it's coming from both sides and tying in the middle. Okay, so I need to come from, hopefully this makes sense, from here and from here, right? Because that's where the edge hit the silhouette. That's where it's going to come back in the middle. Now, to draw a knot, my easiest way to draw a knot is just to draw something kind of almost like a square slash oval, something like that. And then if you just kind of split it in half, that typically will communicate knot pretty effectively. And then down from two sides, I'll just put the tie. Okay, and then I can erase away that edge right there. Okay, something like that. Now, you guys probably noticed that these ties are made with a seam right there. It's kind of like a big spaghetti. If you want to include that, you absolutely can. Something like this, I think it would be acceptable to just omit it for the sake of clarity, because, you know, that's kind of the only way to make these little ties. But if you wanted to include it, you could. Okay, fold this, reflect it over to the other side, make sure my symmetry is good. Now, you'll notice the tie is not perfectly symmetrical. I freehanded that whole thing. That's fine. Things like ties are okay if you don't have that perfectly symmetrical. Okay, now there's a lot of detail inside. We've got the little edge where we saw an overlock, which looks just kind of like a wiggle. And then if you can fit it on top of that, we've got that chain stitch. Okay, so it's starting to look a little bit mucky and muddy because there's so much going on right there. So guess what? We're gonna do a call out. We haven't done a call out yet. This is a perfect opportunity to do one. And knowing that I'm gonna be doing a call out of this area means that I don't have to worry too much about getting all those details perfectly, because I'm gonna have a better opportunity to show them. Don't forget, we've got those little spots there where you tie it up, and then more overlock. And that's I think the gist of it, guys. What I want to do is spend a minute on the call out. Okay, so for your call out, don't forget all the overlock though. For your call out, they need to be a decent size, right? They need to be a decent size. I'm going to say maybe at least about that big, if not bigger. When we do them for our project, I'm going to ask you guys to do them about 3 inches across, because they'll look really nice on the page that way. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm really just drawing very close up this stuff, okay? So let's see what we've got here. I've got my edge that's folded over. That edge has a seam, okay? The overlock is here, and I'm going to represent it with just this up and down wiggly. That, if somebody sees that, they're going to know it's an overlock. Now, all stitches have an ISO number. Like, there's a whole chart where we can identify exactly what stitch. If you were going to go to production, we would want to make sure to include more details, and that would be in a tech pack. We would know exactly what kind of stitches are being used for all of this. Okay, now we can see there's a stitch on top of the overlock. And now we can go in the middle. We can put our 2 lines of the orange fabric here, and we can put our little lacy detail. So our little lacy detail, I'm actually going to try to draw the lace, and it looks to me like the lace is lacy on both sides. It's just a little harder to see. And then what are we going to do in here? I'm just going to do some kind of a little designy thing to kind of show that this is lace. Okay, maybe we'll do a few little dots in the middle, something like that. Maybe it would have been even better if my edge was a little bumpied up like that to make it look more like lace. Okay, so we'll do something like that as best you can. When we do call out, sometimes if you have trouble drawing a call out, a little secret trick for you guys. You want a secret trick? Here's a secret trick. take a photo. Take a photo of the thing, okay? And then trace your photo. You'll be shocked how good it comes out. We're going to use that trick for some of the components of our children's project. Okay, and we'll just finish that up. A little bit more detail, and that should do it for the call out. I mean, since I drew that kind of circle shape, I'll maybe continue this all the way down there. Okay. All right. Hopefully that helps. And I'm going to do, let's see, we're at 10 minutes. I'll do a second video for the green bathing suit.